Hello comic book fans, here's Earl Grey with my next list of the best comics that came out in 2018. Just in my humble opinion, of course, and I have to mention very briefly, at first with an apology, the winner done by Carl Stevens and published by Retrofit Big Planet, which was or is a wonderfully done autobiography of Carl Stevens. It should have been included in my very first list with Slice of Life comics. He reflects on his situation as an artist who has to earn some money as a museum guard, and on his private life with his girlfriend as well, and it's wonderfully done, reminding me part-wise of Robert Crumb's sketchbooks, but with a story, of course, and it blends some kind of weird fantasy, wacko story that he tries to create into that narrative. Yeah, wonderfully piece of comics, you should check that one out. Today's list is a bit a difficult one because I always throw genres into a mix or mention a horror book in my crime book list or vice versa. But today I want to combine superheroes and adventures, fantasy comics, all the stuff that feels most comic booky to me, comic-y. Adventures that you can experience primarily only in comics, I feel. Despite all the movies that came out and so on. And I'm one of the few ones who didn't like the Wonder Woman movie too much, for an example, just for an example. And you may remember how I bragged that I'm too much of a man to pick up the Absolute Wonder Woman because I have the hardcover, the little smaller hardcovers as well. But yeah, when the price went down on that beauty here, I simply had to get it, and it would made it really high up in my list today, of course, because it's this kind of fantasy adventure and of course superhero type of thing that I want to discuss right now and today. Yeah, but it would be a bit unfair because that Cliff Chiang Azzarello run had made it #1 some years ago, I think. So today I want to talk about different comics, and can't talk either really about Bug by Michael Allred or the Team Allred, because I still haven't read that one. Shame on me. I have read this other title by the Young Animal imprint that takes hopefully just a break right now. Eternity Girl. Yeah, the suicidal hero that really didn't grab me, and to be quite honest with you, the art by Sonny Liu was a bit of a disappointment for me, because I really loved his art in The Art of Charlie Chan Hok Chai last year, I guess. But here it doesn't fit too well into that story, and yeah, and the whole premise. I think I have to read this again because it's interesting, but in my opinion it tries a bit too hard to be interesting with that premise. Don't know. So, but now to the real deal, and to number 10, and there I cheat a bit because I have two number 10s. First number 10 is Compulsive Comics, written, drawn, and everything by Eric Haven. This was postponed forever, and you have to wait an eternity for this book that you can read in one toilet sitting, but man, what a toilet sitting it was. He's goofing around with crazy superhero characters, and it's really, yeah, a nice little parody of sorts. There's one here, Headlopper 2, or Headlopper and the Crimson Tower, published by Image. Compulsive Comics, by the way, was published by Fantagraphics. And this is published by Image and is, yeah, more of the same, I would say. If you have read Headlopper 1, this is exactly what you get, more or less, in the second trade. And there will be a third one as well. Wonderfully, really cartoony, colorful art. And yeah, big fun. So, talking about big fun, and we come to number 9. And this is another book of those young animal books, and that one I've read. Milk Wars, done by a slew of different artists, and yeah, this one was an exceptional read, I have to say. One of these crossovers that is really fun to read. One of the few ones, I think. And you can read this as a parody, as a satire, but you can read this as a full-on adventure homage and a real adventure, and totally weird, of course, and surreal, yeah. And yeah, was a blast, really. Milk Wars, and I hope that I even get more out of it when I read Eternity Girl for the second time, and maybe Bug and some of the other young animal titles again. So that this will maybe blend even more together with them. So, Grant Morrison is famous for doing books that nobody can understand. But Klaus, this number 2 book here, is really easy to understand, comic fun galore. Contains just 2 comic issues, but they were oversized, so this is, yeah, okay enough book to put it in hardcover, I think, and especially, even though, yeah, to be honest, you can read this pretty quick, but it's fun, crazy take on Santa Claus as some kind of superhero guy who has to fight crazy monsters. And the art by Dan Moira is yeah, fantastic. And I love this series, and I hope they put the next ones that came out as comic books in similar hardcovers. I've spoken already a lot about Galandia by Lorenzo Mattotti, the Italian comic god, in my video 220. Lorenzo Mattotti is simply one of my favorites, and this thick tome here, which can be read really quick, was one of the highlights in that year, 2018, for me. If you want to have a closer look, maybe you will watch Panellogy 220 again. Okay, the next one is, I think, the only one that you won't get in English, but only in French, Dutch, and German. But if you're somehow able to read one of these languages, you should check out January Jones, written by Martin Ludewig, who also has written many Storm adventures, the Don Lawrence comics, sci-fi comics, and drawn by Eric Heuvel. And January Jones is a fantastic Linie Claire comic, classic adventure stories, very similar to Tintin, of course. About this American pilot in the 40s, late 30s, who experiences some more or less silly but nevertheless fun and somehow gripping adventures with the old tropes of bad or seemingly bad guys who blew stuff up, and she has to solve the problem. And later on it's all about some mysterious cull from African sultan and stuff like that. But it's really set in the time of that day, and what I really like the most is the fun that they have with the Nazi greats, Hitler and Göring and Himmler and all these idiots. And they really show them as the idiots as that they were, but it feels not too much of a caricature, because it really is well researched and yeah, just fun to read them. And yeah, and I really like how they put out these books. At first I thought, because these books are a bit smaller than the European album sized comics, I first thought they have shrunken that down, but that's not true, because they just made the frame here, the white frame around the panels, a bit smaller, so they could do the whole book a bit smaller. But the art is exactly the same as the old original albums, and yeah, which I now sell on eBay. Okay, enough talk about stuff that most of you unfortunately can't read. Sorry about that, but you can for sure read Corto Maltese, and you know how much I do like Hugo Pratt's Adventurer, and the Golden House of Samarkand was a fantastic read. Has to be frank, all of the Corto Maltese books are. And yeah, wonderful done book. Tango came out in 2018 as well, and as always, this one was much thinner than the other one. So when you're starting to get some Corto Maltese, I would really recommend to hunt down the thicker ones, even though, yeah, this one clocks in at $35 US, and this just $20 US. So yeah, just do the math. But if you want to get more comics for your buck, I would recommend to go for the thicker volumes. And somehow they are story-wise the more interesting wise, the more interesting, just generally speaking. So you saw that samurai here, and that one was Usagi Yojimbo, was really one of the discoveries in 2018, in late 2018, to be honest with you. yeah, Usagi Yojimbo, drawn and written and letter and whatnot by Stan Sakai, of course. And there is a whole fandom out there for this book here. A lot of people that I really admire are into that book here. And now I know why. And this is just the start, of course. These 2 tomes here collect the first 7 trades, I think, of Usagi Yojimbo. They came out with a slipcover. But hey, Amazon, you old fuckers, you ruined that one. And even though that not just the slipcase was totally ruined, but that book here got really dented as well. But yeah, what can you do when you complain and send the book back? Usually or I tend to get an even more damaged copy in the second delivery. So I just want to save my nerves and have more time to read some comics. And of course, I got all the other ones here that came out by Dark Horse as well. But these one I haven't read. And why is this old comic included in my list? Just because Fantagraphics has republished that one. Second printing here, June 2018. So, can be mentioned in a 2018 list. And yeah, now we arrive at stuff that was in everybody's list, I think. And we are entering the top 3. I have lost a bit the counting, but now we are on place number 3. And with the comic collection that was in everybody's list. And I'm only halfway through this tome here because of all the Christmas tumult and shenanigans and so on. And so I'm a bit more than halfway through. It's a fun reflection, and maybe you can read this as some of the other stuff here, Milk Wars and so on, as a parody on superheroes, but I think this is more much less with this tongue-in-cheek and the sophisticatedness. This is just a true-heartedly, if you can say so, embracing of comics before it went too intelligent, too Grant Morrison-y. Even though this has a bit Grant Morrison feel to it, it's just straight-on fun and about the group of superheroes who are imprisoned in a way in this strange rural town and landscape of Rockwood, or how it is called, with this girl here, which is actually 50, and she was around that, and she really can't deal with her situation. But it's a whole life. Jeff Lemire has created and or written, and it is created or drawn and by Dean Ormston. And it's really promising to be a long, fantastic comic run, and I will be on the ride for sure. So, number 2, and I've spoken already a lot in an extra panellogy about the Sandman Overture. Maybe some of you would consider this as a money grab. It's for sure, the money grab of the year, but I was happy to spend the money when some kind of book like this can be held by my sweaty little hands. wonderfully done book. And yeah, somehow I forgot this in my horror list, because maybe this is a bit more horror than fantasy, but overall it's Neil Gaiman all over and G.H. Williams III all over. So, wonderful book. That's my number one. Yeah. Sad stuff, actually, because it's the last delivery of the Don Rosa Uncle Scrooge and Donald Duck books, published by Fantagraphics in this slipcover. I was a bit late on that journey, so I only got my last 6 books in that fashion, and the first 4 without a slipcover. But anyhow, that's not so important. Yeah, I really love the comic fandom that Don Rosa here uses to do his own spin on Uncle Scrooge's adventures. And the 3 caballeros here, friends of Donald, where Don Rosa, he picked them out of an old animation movie and did his own thing with them. Like he is great with thinking storylines further, and Teddy Roosevelt has again some appearance here, and yeah, that's really by a margin. No, I don't know where the margin starts. All the books in my top 3, 4, 5, 6 here are just amazingly beautiful, and to be honest, I could have put them side by side and not without ranking them, which seems a bit unfair to the beauty of comics that is spread out here right in front of me. So, anyhow, enough of the rambling, and thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.